Alright, got another Sustainiac install. I've got a video doing one of these in an Ibanez guitar from a couple years back. Doing another video on this because they're always different. And right here, right up at the front of the video, I kind of wish I knew this before I post the other one. I do not know what it will cost to put into your guitar until it's on my bench. There are all sorts of variables, you know, if you have battery backs, if you don't, if I have to make routes or not. So if that's the question you have, I'm not going to know the answer until I have the guitar in front of me. Also, if you are not local to me, Minneapolis, Minnesota, you're going to have to ship your guitar, and shipping has gotten really expensive. So look into that before diving into buying components and things like that. Make sure you can afford the job ahead of time. It's an expensive job. I can't do these in a quick manner. There are some things about this guitar that I'm going to do that will kind of help cut costs to keep things affordable. Eventually we'll get a control cover on the back. I'm not recessing that because that's then a second route. So I'm routing to fit the preamp, then I'm making a cover, then I'm recessing to put the cover flush with the top. I'm skipping that step. I'm just making the cover and fastening it to the top. Details like that, I'm not going to know until the guitar is here. So we're putting it in a V-style guitar, which is not recommended because of having to figure out how to channel wires and stuff, but you can do it, but you gotta be thinking on your feet and plan ahead and adapt as you go. So here we go. Hope you enjoy the video. So this guitar is called Diamond, and it's sort of a flying V shape with a fully locking tremolo, recessed, got EMGs. Don't have a lot of room here. Notice the green here, this tapers down really thin. So we're very limited on space here. And kind of get some looks all around. So really we gotta try and stay where the black is when we're planning this out. Okay, quick parts rundown here. Of course, we've got the driver, which will replace the neck pickup. This is the main circuit board. This is what makes it all happen. Now the common switches that come with this are over here. It comes with a tall circuit board, but I will be using this alternate board, which has the board on its side. We have to do this because the body just isn't thick enough. Like I showed you that green outline on the body, we're very limited on depth. So we're going to go with this switch on this guitar. Also, since we're using EMGs, or really if anytime you use other active electronics, or if there's anything else that requires a battery, you'll need to use the 9-pin jack. There's separate instructions on how to wire this up. This will separate the battery, in this case used for the EMGs, from the battery used for the Sustainiac, because the Sustainiac really drains batteries really fast. So you want to have that separate battery power. Take a quick look at the front here. I'm going to plan out where we want the battery box to be. So we're going with 2 9-volts, and we're not going to have room to put it between the pickups because we've got a tremolo. There's just no room there. So hopefully, well, I'm just going to have to get it placed somewhere about here, and I might have enough wood here where I can get it into the pickup route, the wires. Just flipped over again. The idea is on the back I'll need to lay out some tape and trace where these contours are so we can plan out for the battery box to be right about there on the back side, because we need the full thickness in order to get the battery box mounted into this. So this is where we're starting. I pulled everything out, just put these back in. They're not actually screwed in or anything. Just kind of give an idea here. We've got the switches. This is the big issue. I feel they're going to end up needing to be somewhere about here. Once we do that, then we need to get the primary circuit board in. With the toggle switch, can't rest on top of that, that's just too tall for us out the back. Getting over here, we're getting into a problem with the jack. Maybe if we turn the toggle, so if we, might be where ideally you don't want this where the pickup wires go, but we could run the pickup wires over this side and widen the route out this way and have, if we've got the room, figure out where that contour is, because the contour comes in pretty close to there. So it might be where if I bring this up this way, that will be the solution. On its side, route up here, route out here for the switches. That might be what works. So I'm actually going to trace out the contours on the back here so we can get a better idea of the room that we have. Alright, so I took my tracing, flipped it over, got a rough idea where the contours are, and I also double checked measuring, I mark a line and I check in. So it's a pretty reliable border here. Same with this over here. I also marked out where the jack goes, as you can see there, so I know what we have here for room. Now, initially, just moments ago, I was thinking we'd be able to, maybe sneak this in up here. But the problem is, I'm running into the tremolo routes on the front side. So that's pretty risky. One thing I could do, bring this preamp back down here, either this way or I could do it on the side. Probably better just to do it like this. Problem is, with the wires, they're just not going to reach because some will end up down here. So I'll need to splice wire in between. I'll cut these in half, add a length of wire to them to make this longer. Not an issue. The one thing that to really keep track of is, forget which one it is offhand, but one of these wires you do not want laying near the pickup wires. You can get some unwanted noise. So the idea is I'll try and the bridge pickup wire, either bring it down around here, tape it down into place, then the preamp wires I bring them around this side so that they don't lay next to each other. Don't want to have them laying across the terminal that the pickup connects to or anything like that. You want to keep things separated. So, as I'm thinking, or as I'm speaking here, this is going to be the safest place to put it. Just structurally, we've got the room to do it. Going to be plenty of wires coming through there. As long as I don't end up into the hole where the jack is, everything should be fine. And we can also, we've got room to rotate this toggle a little bit, get some more room there. So, yeah. It's looking like that is going to be the plan now. Here, let me set that. So it'll be like this. I'm going to need to make a template, route out both these sections, and yeah, just got to keep going at it. I'm thinking this battery box out a little bit more. Like I said before, it's got to go there. I was thinking they might be able to, with a real long aircraft bit, drill a hole all the way here and feed the wires through the pickup route. but it's probably going to be more practical. I route this, then right through here I'll peel this foam off. It's kind of stuck here, but wires will come through here. I'll just dig a little, or kind of like chisel a little channel or something, and then back into the cavity there. So if I was building this guitar from scratch, I would have had a way of routing the wires through, but this is the only practical I can think of. So little change of plan, put the battery box here, wires go through there. So now we've got this all apart. We've got the two switches here. This is on off. It'd be nice to have that closer to where you're playing. We'd have, you know, I could do that. It's getting a little close to that toggle switch though. The other option is I do it like this, so they're backed out a little ways, but then you end up with the three-way being closer. It's kind of a situation where you don't always get all the little details you want. Thinking that I'm just going to end up having to stick with this, and yeah, it'll be nice. It'll still work out. It's back behind where the tremolo is. So imagine this. You know, you're not going to be hitting anything. You got to reach back to grab everything anyways. So yeah, we'll just follow through with that. What I think I'll do is I'll start by locating where these will be. I'll just pick a spot here and I'll drill through, and then that will give me locating holes on the back. I'll see where it comes through back here so I can center where I want to route out. You see here I kind of drew out. It's like probably roughly something like that. But I think the safer idea was I'll drill those holes first for this to fit through. Then I'll mark out where to route. Over here you can see I've already drawn out where that will go. Down there in the corner. That'll be a nice easy route there. I don't have to go the full depth, because this is, you know, like half the depth of the control cavity, maybe less than that. So and then when all this is done, I'll just make one big control pocket cover to cover everything. Black, it'll look nice. Nobody will notice that it isn't original. Okay, I'm going to take a pause here halfway through the routing. I can't set up my camera to actually see what I'm routing. You just got to do it in my shop downstairs. Bring it up and kind of show you under the lights here. So we've got this for the primary preamp. That's all fine and dandy. Over here, I did start routing, and I took my calipers to check, just to double check this, and then under here to make sure there's room. And what I'm decided I'm going to do is I'm going to creep down this ledge first, and then I'll creep this down a little bit, and I'm probably, you know, kind of change of plans. I probably will have a route that fits right along there, and then up just a little bit more to right there, just to make sure that this I don't get too close to that contour. And the reason why I'm worried about that contour is I don't want to get these switches too close to the volume. Otherwise you can't really grab anything. You're bumping into each control. So I'm trying to keep a little bit of space between things here. And one last time before I start the router up, I want to make absolutely sure that I'm not going to cut through the front of this guitar. I've laid some tape down along the edges on the front so I don't scratch anything. I'm going to take my calipers, I'm going to hold them right to that edge, then compare to where I drew on the back. And just to make absolutely sure, and it looks like where I plotted out to put the battery box route, I've got about 1/8 of an inch on either side, so this is going to be safe. All right, we've got the battery box route completed. We are safely clear of any thin spots in the body. Same goes with the control cavity over here. Now the next step is we've got to get the battery box in. We've got to run the wires over here. Now I probably said it before, but Sustainiac runs on its own 9-volt battery. Anything else that requires a battery in the guitar needs its own separate battery. This has EMGs, so EMG going to get this battery, Sustainiac this one, or whichever way it ends up being wired that way. So if these 18-volt battery boxes, a lot of times you would solder these two wires together and leave them underneath the battery box and just these going through. I need to make sure that all 4 of these wires are coming over to the jack. So I need to make sure I have a channel big enough to fit all 4 of these. And what my plan is I've already peeled up the foam from underneath the tremolo, and I'm going to start off by routing a channel in here. Then I will use a long aircraft bit like this to punch a hole through either side. I was here trying to drill it out first. I'm like, the drill's not going to get down enough. I'm going to end up with the wires up. So it'd be better if I just route the channel first. So. That's what it looks like down in there. I'll bring this set over just a touch more. I'll make another pass, try and widen it a little bit. Might as well. I'm all set up for this. And, wire channel is done. Not as clean as I'd like to do, but it'll work. It's going to be covered up anyways. Not like anybody's going to care. So now, I've got to drill on either side. And this, get that started down in there. Sometimes you got to start a little steeper angle and then bring it down. Through. Right there, that's where it came through. This time I'll be able to come deeper over this way. Just trying to, with my finger on the inside of the route, imagine where it's coming through. Keep this pretty shallow. And probably right about there. Yeah, start steeper. Bring it down. Just as I planned, off on one battery side, so I'll just take my Dremel with the drum sander and kind of sand out a little channel here so that the base side battery has a place for its wires to come through. Alright, so here we go. Just gonna put this together. Pretty simple. I've got the holes drilled for the screws already. Place a little bit. Fits in there nicely. put the controls into place, put the switches into place. I'm going to kind of plot out and double check our wires. If we've got some wires here from the batteries that will get all the way to the jack, some will be wired up here on the switch and so on. So you might have to add a little to some of these. Otherwise, most of them will be getting cut shorter. And that's totally fine. We'll tuck those under here. Now this is for the driver, the Sustainiac driver. That gets attached here. As you can see, we're almost perfect length. I'll probably be cutting off maybe an inch or so. Just keep it all nice and clean. With the Sustainiac, you don't want extra wires getting packed in anywhere. This is for the EMG. That'll be staying in this area, so we have plenty of length. We'll tuck these out of the way. Now, I went ahead and put on the plugs for the motherboard here. And according to Sustainiac, I haven't had the issues with these yet, but the orange, yellow, and white wires need to be kept short. So wherever you're wiring this up, they need to be close to their destination, which in this case is going to be the toggle switch. So we want the board to go in this direction, and we'll keep things nice and tidy. This here connects the switches to the motherboard, but once again, we've got a lot of extra wire. These aren't supposed to be near any signal wire. If they are, you want to shield it. Wrap some copper foil shielding around it, put some tape on it so nothing grounds out. But also there's extra length, so I'll be shortening this. I'll make it something like about that length. Now this clip here, this has to come all the way over and attach there. But see, it's obviously too short. So these I'll be cutting in half, and I'll be splicing in maybe an extra 2 inches of wire. I have an extra clip from another Sustainiac here, so I'll be able to keep all the color codes nice and coordinated. Use shrink tubing, obviously. I'll also wrap the motherboard in some foil shielding to help isolate, because we're going to have the output wires coming through here. But the idea is, you'll be able to pull it up. We'll have little holes cut for the adjustment, the trim pots. But we want to make sure that everything is shielded, because so often little things, little details, if you have a wire laying over across the other, you can have some oscillation or some grunge, and it's, you just have to plan this out and keep it all nice and neat. So next step, just start splicing wires and getting everything cut to size. So, just planned it out. It'll be laying over here. See, this will fit that way. Get plugged in there. This is going to plug in here. And we've got just the right amount of length. I'll probably add a little piece of foam between here just to kind of help keep the board from rattling around. We've got these orange and white wires are supposed to be kept close to the toggle switch, which they are. They will be cut short. So we'll be able to lift this out and adjust, and then just lay it back into place. Yeah, this is all turning out just fine. So, and when I'm soldering this all together, some of these wires may come over here. They may need to have extensions soldered onto them. Some are going to be going to the jack. So everything's looking fine. So we've got this all prepared, and we'll be able to start assembling soon. But there's one last issue, and that is our output jack. We've got to use the 9-pin because Sustainiac needs its own battery. I mentioned that a bunch of times before. but it does not fit in the jack hole. So we're going to address that, and then it's time to actually start getting this put together. Okay, all I have left to do is to make a new back cover for this. So I just laid out some tape, drew some lines, making sure that, you know, right here's the edge of the route. Pull that away. Just give a little bit of a lip. I don't need to make this a point all the way coming down here because that would get quite flimsy. So I'm going to put screws at the corners. Just make sure I have room for that. Just take some tracing paper. I'll be able to trace it out. Then take the tracing paper and stick it onto some pickguard material and cut it out. There you have it. It's all done. Successful job. And I guess kind of the theme of this video is how it's sometimes you kind of have to think on your feet as you go through. There will be little steps along the way that you weren't anticipating. So you just got to adapt and follow through with it. This worked out really well. You know, I hope to have other videos with these installs because, like I said, none of them are the same. Someday maybe somebody will bring in a Stratocaster or another slab body style guitar. You can fit in a different style of the Sustainiac preamp into them, where you can see, I believe some Schecter guitars will have it off just toward behind where like the tone controls are. You route through the back, so you can open up the cover and adjust the trim pots there, versus having the Stealth Pro preamp, which, you know, probably have to hide it under the pick guard, or you got to come up with some sort of custom route because you'll want to adjust those trim pots. Because, you know, here in the shop, I adjust it, make sure it's working. You get it home with your own amp, your own settings. You may want to have it adjusted differently. So you want to have access to that. You don't want to bury the controls underneath the pick guard. So there's all sorts of different variables in this, and you know, you just got to come up with a plan before you get started. So if you have any questions or comments about this, you can leave them in the comments section below or contact me directly. My information is in the About section of my channel, and we'll see you next time. All right, come on. Come here.